I remember, and I haven't seen it in a long, long time, but I just remember as a kid when I was watching it, it
Right.
seemed like you guys had genuine chemistry with him, though. Like, how did that develop if there was this huge disconnect?
Um, no, there wasn't a disconnect as far as our chemistry. It's
Okay.
just a disconnect to him to understand what the hell we were talking about. Like, at that time we weren't talking like um highly educated, you know, kids from Harvard. We were talking like we're from the streets. So everything with us was just slang. But he seen how genuine we were. Like we were really nice to him. Like we would sit down and listen to his stories, and he would always say, "When I was you guys' age, and this and that," and we'd sit there and listen to the stories, like, "Wow, that's crazy," and this and that, and so he took a liking to it. So he loved coming to the set, and we'll play football on the set, and he'll just sit there and look at us with this big grin on his face, like he was like reliving his childhood or something. So he took a liking to us. And he
That's
just yeah, he told our manager that this is the most fun he ever had on a movie set. He said those guys are crazy. you know.
and then that to me is a whole other Wipeout's one thing, but Disorderlies to me was a whole other level. So
Yeah.
so with that, what did you notice? Like going to a platinum party is one thing. Being like, being the stars of a major movie with Ralph Bellamy is a whole different thing, at least to me. So
Right.
did it seem the reception and the perception of you guys changed, and if so, how?
Um. Our our director's wife used to always remind us that we're in a major motion picture. She used to always tell us that you guys are not doing a video. Like this is real. This is real here. Like this is money. This is millions of dollars being pumped into this movie. And we just brush off like, yeah, yeah, we know. Because we didn't know anything about a big major. We're still thinking Crush Groove, and so we would get to the set and we see this whole setup, and the grip guys working and all this different kind of stuff, and it really didn't seep in, but it hit me when I was at the car dealership and I was getting something done to my car, and I'm sitting in the waiting room, and there's maybe like 10, 15 people in there. So this is on a Friday night, and the trailer comes on. This is while Miami Vice was on TV, was a show that was on, but it went to a commercial, and Disorderlies came on the trailer, and I'm sitting in the back. Nobody knows that's me in there. I'm just sitting in the back, just waiting for my car to be done, and you can hear people going, "I gotta see that! Oh, I gotta see that movie!" I'm like, "Oh, shit, like this movie is about to come out," and that's the first time I saw the trailer on TV, and I got excited after. That's when I got excited. I'm like, "Yo, this is really happening! Like, this is really coming out." You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when it hit me.
Man,
Because after the rap party, all the executives come and everybody, the producers, everybody from Warner Brothers Studio, and it still doesn't hit you. We're just having a rap party. They're having this big rap party at this restaurant, and everybody who was involved in the movie is there. But it didn't hit me until I seen the commercial, and that's when I said, "Yo, we're actually gonna be in a movie. Like this is our movie." And that's when it hit me. That's when people was calling me off the hook after that the next day. "Yeah, I seen the movie. What's not out yet? No, I seen the commercial for it." So you know,
and I do remember too being on the morning show when they brought out the fat girls
yeah, yeah, Regis,
with Regis.
Regis,
So
yeah.
um, the other thing I remember as a kid, and this uh, bothered me, and I was always curious as to your guys' perspective of it. But the Fat Boys and the shtick or whatever is one thing, but it also
Right.
it seemed like on that interview, I just remember thinking like it was a weird, like you guys had sold millions of records at this point. You're huge. You're in a major motion picture. You had all these things, but it's
Right.
still there was still that disconnect of respecting rap as
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
as a real art form. And I remember as a kid when I saw that, it was so
Yeah.
evident to me. So
Yeah, because you had a lot of people still getting up in your face and doing stuff like a hubba hubba hibba, a hibba hubba. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what are you doing? And people doing these b-boy stances like that and yo, yo, yo. And they wasn't respecting the craft. They wasn't respecting the culture. They was making a mockery of it, making fun of it. And I never forget we were in Manhattan and we were out there with running with LL Cool J. We just standing around talking, signing autographs, and this girl came up to LL Cool J and did that whole b-boy stance with the fingers like that and all that, and he just looked at her like, "What are you doing?" And she just felt embarrassed, like, because we're like, "Who does that?" You know what I'm saying? Like nobody does that. But that's the thing. Like people just had this whole thing with hip hop. Like all we do is stand in a b-boy stance all day and just say yo yo yo. Like that's all that's all it was with us. Like all you guys say is yo 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 and they do this all the time. Pop, 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 pop. I'm like, what the hell are you doing, man? you know? But they didn't know what hip hop was. They had no idea. They had no idea what it was. It was all new to everybody except the people who were doing it. So a lot of the people were looking at it like it was just a passing fad. It was done by young people who was affecting other young people. And it's kind of like rock and roll. A lot of people didn't like Elvis Presley. A lot of people didn't like Fats Domino. They just thought it was some kind of devil music or some kind of the youth was going crazy. And that's what happened to rap. My mother didn't understand it at first. My father definitely didn't understand it. He called it that boom to boom music. He didn't know what it was. So a lot of people just didn't. I wouldn't say they didn't respect it. They just didn't understand it. And when you don't understand a young person, you tend to make fun of them. You know.
gotcha. Yeah, because it was on the one hand, it was exciting that you were on there, but then I was like, it was just weird.
Yeah, and then when they bring out the fat girls, we had no idea they were going to be there. We're like, you know, where do you get them from? Like, what the hell are they? You know. So one thing about Buff, he hated to be made fun of. Not personally, but as far as anybody doing a surprise kind of thing. Like if he's on a TV show and somebody brought out um, a plate of hamburgers and gave him like, "Yo, what are you doing?" Like, but they're going off of the name. You know what I mean? So it's he always looked at it like they're making fun of our act. And I'm like, well, you got to realize if we was called the Disco 3, they wouldn't do that. Being that we're called the Fat Boys, they're looking at it like what goes along with a fat boy, food. So that's why they're doing that. Um, so that's what it was. If we would have just kept the name Disco 3, a lot of people would have looked at us a lot differently than just looking at a name of Fat Boys. But our manager had to market a certain kind of name. So he couldn't market disco. Disco had played out. It was no longer a thing. So Fat Boys came along and he could market that word. He could market that act. So we just went along with it.
Right.
We fought hard, tooth and nail, not to have that. We didn't mind the song. We just didn't want the name. Like, no, this name is going to work. People are going to know who you guys are. Well, they don't know who we are with Disco 3. No, that's that. Disco is old. Disco is no longer here. So we went with Fat Boys.
Did you present him any other options?
No, because that's the only name we had. We wanted to be called Disco 3 slash Fat Boys. Then we wanted to keep Fat Boys slash Disco 3. But he wanted to do away with Disco 3. He said no more Disco 3. And he kept pushing to us. There's a Disco 4, and they're going to sue you. Like they're going to sue us. You know what I'm saying? For using disco. Like, well, who the hell patents the name disco? I mean, it's some music. But he had us under the impression that Disco 4 was going to sue us if we kept using Disco 3. which made no sense. But it was what it was. But we fought not to have that name, hard not to have that name.
Wow. Well, uh, one other thing that I was curious about too was the "Baby You're a Rich Man" when you
Right.
guys did the Beatles.
Yeah.
So that was '88, I believe. But the thing that amazed me is with sampling and with covers and all that stuff, the Beatles were so notoriously non-allowing that to happen. So, were you involved in the business or getting that cleared to where you could do that?
No, Michael Jackson had bought out the publishing by this time.
Right.
Michael Jackson gave us the okay to do the song.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he had bought out the catalog from Paul McCartney. I think they was up for a bidding, and he outbidded him, and that's how we got to do "Baby You're a Rich Man."
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, somebody went to Michael Jackson. I don't think it was our manager. I think it was Warner Brothers, and it fitted with the story because Ralph Bellamy played a rich guy, a rich man. So they wanted to use a song called "Baby You're a Rich Man," which was a Beatles song. And none of us never heard of the song at first. So we heard the song, they were just going, "Baby, you're a rich man, baby, you're a rich man." Like, who the hell could rap to that? So then Ray Parker Jr. Um, stepped in and we did the track at his house. The Ghostbusters guy, Ray Parker Jr. And we did the track at his house, and that's when the whole boom, da-doom, da-doom, down, da-doom, 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 da-doom. So, we wrote the lyrics to that. Um, and we had fun doing that song. We had fun. We wanted to put that song out as a single. We fell in love with that song. With the whole baby, you're a rich man. Baby, you're a rich man. So, but they were like, we're gonna put it in a movie. I'm saying that's it. As far as
Well,
we're going with that.
is that how you
And
got?
Michael Jackson, sorry to cut you off, when we met him at the Grammys, he brought that up. You're like, "I like the way you did the song, Baby You're a Rich Man. I love that." In I'm saying it his voice. And I'm like, "Oh, okay. So you did check out the song,
So that was how you guys met him? Was at the Grammys?
Met him at the Grammys, yeah. Met him at the Grammys. We got invited to the Grammys because the success of Crushing, and we were sitting behind Liza Minnelli and Tina Turner, and we watched him do "Man in the Mirror." Run DMC was there. They performed. They did they did a Grammy presentation or something like that. And so a lady came to us and she said, "You guys have to come backstage." We're like, what for? Like, we thought it was something like we was getting a reward or something like that, and they didn't want to put it on TV because at that time rap wasn't being um presented at all. So even if you sold like 5 million copies, they wasn't going to put it on the Grammys. So our manager was like, "Hey, just get up, just get up, just get up. Whatever they said to do, just do it." So we get backstage, and she said, "We want you guys to be on the closing credits." And I think the guy, his name is Dion. He was doing Runaround Sue. I think that's his name, the artist. And so it was Michael Jackson and Whitney Houston was standing to our right. So we're in the corner over there just talking and saying, "I think we're gonna have to rap. We have to do a song." And both was like, "Nah, they just want us to just come out." So when I looked up, I tapped Mark. I said, "That's Michael Jackson right there." So Mark said, "Where?" I said, "Right there." So Mark said, "No, that's a lookalike." I said, "That's Michael Jackson. Ain't no damn lookalike." So so while we're pointing at him like that, he waves. So we're looking in back of us like, who's he waving at? So we wave back, like nobody behind us. So that he just makes his way over. He starts walking over, and I'll be a lie to sit here say my heart wasn't coming out my chest. Man, my heart was beating like crazy. I'm like, why is Michael Jackson walking over here? And he just started saying he loves us. Um, like, "I love you guys." He said, "Every time I turn on my TV, you guys are on." He said, "You guys work so hard and He said, I love what you did with Baby You're a Rich Man. And that's when I said, oh, you heard that song? He was like, yes, I love that song. I was like, oh, shit. You know what I'm saying? So, and then he said, I would love to work with you guys. He said, I love this guy right here. And then, you know, Michael J, he goes a high-pitched voice. I love this guy right here, pointing the buff. And, you know, so then he walked back over to Whitney, and we was on cloud nine after that. We was on cloud nine. And being that the Grammys was in New York, we drove our own cars there. So, yeah, we drove back home, man, and it was like we was on a different cloud and something, man. Told my moms, I was on the phone with my mom's like 2 hours telling her I met Michael Jackson, yeah. And we got invited to, well, he told us to come to his show the next day. So he said, I'm going to leave some tickets for you guys. And he's doing a benefit concert. And Buff and Mark didn't go, though. Buff and Mark were like, I ain't going. So I went, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was like the best part of everything we ever did. You know, we did, like I said, we did a lot of things. We did the movies, we did the tours, the overseas stuff. But meeting him that night was like the pinnacle of everything. It was almost like the epitome of everything that happened. Like, it was about as far as we can go with it. You know what I mean? Like, this is it. Like, we're Michael Jackson. Like, we can't get no bigger than this, even as a group. You know, so that's what it was for us.
Yeah, I mean, he has the best selling album of a solo artist ever. So that's the biggest you can get.
Yeah, I mean, if you talk about the music industry, the first thing people talk about is Michael Jackson. You know, let's be honest. It's like this Michael Jackson. So everything else falls at the wayside. You know what I mean?
Be sure to check out the History of Gangster Rap by Soren Baker. He's official.
History of Gangster Rap features exclusive interviews with Ice-T, Snoop Dogg, MC Ren, the D.O.C, and dozens of others. The History of Gangster Rap, a definitive look at how Los Angeles changed rap forever.
In Los Angeles, the streets definitely set the tone of the hip-hop music.
At 19, I got a $50,000 car.
My whole angle always was, I'll be street, but I will always tell you the horrors that go along with this life.
There will be penalties and casualties for just wearing the wrong color in somebody's neighborhood.
And once gangster rap made it from the streets to the TV, the genre exploded.
With Fab 5 on your TV back with NWA.
Yo MTV, it just catapulted us from being local heroes to national gangbang rappers.
The History of Gangster Rap discusses it all from 1980 up till today.
It's always gonna be shit happening in the streets. You know what I mean? So it's always gonna be something to talk about.
The History of Gangster Rap in stores now.